What's going on, guys, and welcome on in. In today's video, we're gonna talk about the best units to invest into to 6-star early. I mentioned in the last video that one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of players make is investing into units that are niche and only hit one area of the game. And so when I look at your account review, they're sitting there either stealing gear from other units that could be using it better, or they're unequipped because you didn't have the level of gear needed to use them efficiently. So we'll talk about units like that you want to avoid, and we'll first focus on units that I think would be some of the best options to invest in early because they're straight up extremely good in all aspects of the game. Okay, so we'll cover both of those. I'll give great examples. I won't be able to cover everything, guys, so I'll mention it later, but just leave me any comments if you have extra questions on car. Is this one actually good for investing into early? I can help with that, but I'll try to cover a lot of examples and then give you just the understanding of what we're trying to aim for here. Long story short, invest in units that are great at everything. I know that sounds simple, but I'll help you understand who those are because they do exist, and then the units you want to avoid that maybe someone told you they're amazing, but they're not great early because you don't have the gear or they're only good in one part of the game. Okay, guys, so after a Wyvern units and after a fodder farmer, typically the fifth or sixth unit that we're going to be 6-starring, it should be someone that's good at everything. I know that sounds simple, but that's the long and short of the entire video, guys. Build units that are good at everything, and there are a lot of units that do that, surprisingly. We want to avoid the units that are niche and only are great in one style of content, besides the Wyvern units and besides the fodder farmer, of course. And now we want to build units that excel in all areas. I'll give a few examples here. The prime one I think is one of the best examples, and you've seen me recommend it here in my must pull guides, would be a unit like Lilius. Let's talk about her real fast. Let's go ahead and cover PvE first, right? She is a knight, so she can provide mitigation for the team. She has a cleanse, which is super good for everything, just as a safety mechanic. If you have defense breaks in your team, you want to protect them, cleanse it all off. S1, so while being a knight, she also has S1 dual attack damage, S3 AoE with CR pushback, and then also has some attack scaling, so she'll do decent damage there. And then she even has utility for things like expeditions, you know, non-attack skills. Good in raid, hell raid, abyss, expeditions, trials, whatever you need, she can excel at. So probably the best example I can give for a unit you want to try to look at investing in, okay? Another unit that's very similar to that, but I got to make a special disclaimer for. So just like Lilius, absolutely good at everything, provides extreme support for your team in terms of mitigation, has dual attacks with defense breaks. He's going to do, like, especially if you don't have a Lilius, he would be an amazing pickup. However, unlike Lilius, or not unlike Lilius, but he's going to be possibly out of reach for a lot of players that are just finishing up Wyvern because you have to clear Sidonia and kill strays to unlock his specialty change. Now that might be out of reach for a lot of y'all, but if you didn't know, Smilegate just added 10 more friend slots. So a lot of y'all been stopping by the Twitch streams, joining up on the Discord. We have 10 more friend slots. I know myself, I don't mind cycling in some of y'all out if you need some help with rep heroes. I know a lot of people in my community that are endgame players wouldn't mind too. So just let us know, okay? Stop by and say, hey, Car, I'm going to be pushing towards Sidonia to try to get Roz's specialty change. Do you have a friend slot open? And if I don't, I'm sure I can find some people for y'all, all right? So join up. Quick disclaimer on that. Amazing. Roz is an amazing unit. No mole investment, unlike Lilius. And the only problem is trying to get him by beating Sidonia. Another 3-star unit that's amazing, of course, guys. You already knew I was going to talk about her. Falconer Clary. Just like Roz, no mole investment. Very easy to gear. That's a big thing, guys. Some of these units I'm going to talk about, you can go insane with their gear. Some of them might have a little bit higher gear requirements, but the important thing is they all have low barrier to entry. What I mean by that is if we're just doing some basic PvE content, so starting with like normal raid, then just to get them off the ground and actually be effective, the gear requirements are so low. And for PvP, they might become way higher, but then once we get to PvP, once we start getting more gear farmed up, that's why we're building these kind of units, we can shift our gear towards PvP, and they're already 6-starred, which is why it's the best thing to do is invest in units that are great at both PvP plus PvE. So Falconer Claire, of course, amazing PvE, amazing PvP, no mole investment, just an all-around solid unit that can do pretty much everything that you'd want out of a unit, okay? So we don't want to go all on at knights though, guys, so let's talk about some damage dealers real fast. A very good example for a strong, good at everything damage dealer would be a unit like Landy. Now I know she's limited, but let's talk about her because a lot of y'all came started playing around the Guilty Gear, not Guilty Gear, excuse me, the just collab, the group banner rerun, not collab, I don't know what I'm saying, the group banner rerun. So y'all were able to pick up a Landy. If you didn't, don't sweat it, guys, but I just want to mention her as an example because a unit like this is good at everything. Unlike, there are some PvP units that are her equal, that are just as good for dealing damage and surviving in PvP content, but they may not be as good as her in PvE, and that's why she's amazing. She provides some buffs for the team. She has amazing PvE potential while also being a top pick for PvP. So a clear winner, someone you will never feel bad about investing in. And same thing, lower gear to entry because you just slap on some offensive attack sets with a 2-piece crit. You can give her an artifact like Bloodstone to help heal if you're lacking on that. And then later down the line, when you want to get real sweaty in PvP, we just shift the gear towards that. She's already 6-star. You already have some molas in her. That's the best thing. She'll never be bad. She's good from the beginning till forever, unless they somehow nerfed her or something. But this is a prime example too of an amazing damage dealer. Another one that's before we go into the Moonlight 5s or Moonlight 4s, Ravi would be another great pick. If you ended up getting her from selectives, which I think some of y'all ended up choosing, know that for PvE, let's start with PvE. Lower gear, you can get away with just attack sets that you get from the Adventure Path or from Arena, crit sets, whatever. And then later on, like if you look at my stats here, guys, some of y'all might say for PvP car, I can't even build it yet. Don't even worry about that. Just put the PvE gear on her. If you really want to run her in PvE, see what happens. But like most of the time for PvP, you're just doing participation stuff anyways. And then we can start, like I said, gear her for PvP much later down the line once we farm up a little bit more. But for PvE, she's going to carry you through Raid, through Abyss. She's absolutely crazy. Just slap her in the front line or anything. I even used her in Abyss 106 lately. So even till the very end, still amazing in PvE. And of course, PvP All-Star. Maybe just not in the beginning. You might need to get some better gear because she's very greedy on stats. So she'd be a good example of a red, green, blue, you know, damage dealer that's good at everything. Another one. Let's go and talk about these two guys. And of course, I probably don't need to mention it, but a unit like Arbiter Vildrid, of course, the best farmer, the best, one of the best PvP damage units. I don't think I needed to say it. And on the same page, someone like Bloodblade Karen, I think, would be a bad example, but we'll go ahead and shift towards the bad examples or units that maybe might be a little bit of a trap to invest in too early. They might be insane for some content, but you don't want to make them one of your first 6 stars because they're only good at one thing. Now, let's ignore BBK. Let's go ahead and talk about similar to Landy, a unit like Spectanny. Okay, so let's remember these ML5s as ones that you want to build because we're going to mention a lot of ML5s, Moonlight 5s after this that would be bad to invest in too early. But Spectanny, guys, the premier PvE damage unit, right? Anytime you just kill fodder units, she's going to get stronger with her buffs. She can't be countered. She has poison on S1. She's, you know, she has a lot of protection because unless the boss is doing AoE, they can't hit her. Just absolutely busted for everything. PvE plus PvP, so a clear winner as well. All right. So damage dealers, you know, you have a Momo built for PvE Soul Weavers already. You don't need too many Soul Weavers other than if you wanted to build like a DN up, or sorry, not DN, a Rowana up, who is on the banner. Can I make a quick statement, guys? Rowana, just like Lilius, was on one of my must-build units, one of the must-build units, or must-pull units. But since the new collab is like a month and a half away, guys, and if you are free to play, you might have to skip on her because you just, even if Rowana might be better than some of those units, they're limited. They may never come back. Just a quick disclaimer, guys. I do think, though, if you have some extra bookmarks, you should try to get her on her next upcoming banner, which I believe is next week, if it's not already out by the time you're watching this, okay? All right, guys. Let's go ahead and shift our talk. Actually, real fast. ML4s that are amazing. Good examples, Champion Zerato and General Purgus. Champ Z, of course, right? PvP, one of the best PvP anti-debuff units. And then for PvE, just like Rowana, absolutely insane for Hell Raid, and he's also great in A13, A11, A12 for hunts. He can almost solo those. General Purgus, of course, guys, the best Wyvern unit tank in the game. And on top of that, amazing PvP as well. So just some quick examples, guys, of what to look for. And like I mentioned, if you need help knowing who's good in both, you can go ahead and ask me. But I think some of y'all, the more videos you watch, you kind of get an understanding of who's really great in some areas, things like that. Let's go ahead and I'll help you all out with knowing units that are sort of you want to avoid. So I mentioned a unit like Bloodblade Karen. Unlike Arby, she's not great in PvE. She can work as a farmer, but she's just so much slower. Just use Free Spirit Tieria or whoever else you had built up as a farmer. Gonna be better than that. And then, you know, her main use would be like PvP cleaving, and even then she's fallen off quite a bit. So I mentioned Moonlight 5s, guys. These are premier examples of people. It's understandable, right? You pull a Moonlight 5, you want to build them ASAP because you hear they're so good, they're so rare. You hear they're top tier, good at like amazing, but a lot of times it's mostly PvP. They're mostly amazing at PvP, which like if I talk about it, it'll make perfect sense. Ambitious Tywin, although he's one of the most oppressive and powerful PvP units, for PvE, he's not really going to do anything that a Lilius, you know, another knight would just be way better at. He's really just PvP only. Same thing with Last Rider Crow. And guys, these units I'm mentioning, I'm sure you'll see someone using them in PvE, but it's just not worth it when there's way better options that are good at both, like that are actually amazing and not just viable for PvE content. So these are two prime examples of units that you might want to build up way too early if you were lucky enough to pull them, but just not very good overall compared to a lot of other units. Now, so those two units, what do they have in common? PvP centric. Same thing with like an Elfelt. Unlike Landy, she's pretty much PvP only. You don't really want to build her. Apolitis maybe might have some PvE usage, I'm not sure, but really her main goal is like anti-cleave and PvP, right? Cleave setup units, things like that. Crow would be one, guys, that you wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be a bad thing to invest them early, but there are probably better options because for PvE, there's, you know, there's better knights. Just like in the example with a Tywin and Last Rider Crow, there's better knights than Crow for PvE content, but he's a little bit better off. So if you do build him up too early just because you like him, you're never bad. SSB would be an example. I just missed her because, you know, she's gonna get a rerun soon, but you may not have her yet. She would be a clear example of good at everything. PvP plus PvE, absolutely insane. Most of y'all should know this by now. Tea Time, I'm just going through a few examples. Tea Time would be an example of a unit that you don't want to invest in too early. I know some people have had some success running like Wyvern 13, but by now you should already have your Wyvern 11 team established. You can just transition that to 13, and Tea Time will build up way later for PvP usages, right? Okay, now last thing I want to mention, guys, there are two units though that I want to quickly mention that they are very niche, but I think when I was talking with my viewers that you guys, of course, let's get this one out of the way, guys, real fast. Tamarind, obviously, boys, one of the best units. Not really much PvP usage, especially for newer players. I know she can be run with Tamarind and Tama Iseria for cleave setups, but a lot of y'all won't be doing that yet. You don't want to be investing in Iseria plus her for PvP. Instead, you know, of course, she's so good at PvE. Even if she has no PvP usages for you, we still build her up. So she would be an exception. But keep in mind, guys, a lot of players, you can run her at level 50, even at the highest level content for Abyss, raids, things like that. She can still work at level 50. High level expeditions, level 3, you're still good to go. The other example, guys, one that I didn't build, but I've heard great things, Bologna. So you'll never see this unit in high level PvP just because there's better options. However, she's so good at PvE. If you were able to pick one up early, I think it'd be worth it. So I'm trying to give y'all some, there's always going to be exceptions to any rule, and Tam and Bologna would be some of them, even though I said don't build up niche units because these two wouldn't be good at PvP. She's so good at PvE that it would be great, right? EE, she's going to have exclusive equipment that makes this defense break even better. Out of turn damage dealing, that's AoE as well. And then, of course, the S1 that has built-in Daydream Joker or health scaling damage that a lot of bosses are not immune to. Just an absolutely insane unit. So don't take the rule literally. Hopefully I covered a lot of examples. Maybe y'all had those units that you were considering building up anyways, and I give you that extra push. But if not, don't forget, leave in the comments below if you need extra help. Hit me up on Discord, stop by the live streams and say, Car, I watched the video and I want some extra clarification. Is this 6R better, or is this 6R would be better for me right now, right? Anyways, guys, I hope this helped out a little bit. Let me know what other content you might want. And any questions, of course. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace out, guys.